time, weather.
Now for the Forge Podcast. Question for you. What's the power of your testimony if it's never shared? This is the Forge Podcast.
A ministry of Scottsdale Bible Church.
It's an S.
I don't think I've ever thought it was Meyer.
I thought you just said Meyer.
I may have, but
Oh, okay.
I lost a tooth and I got this weird,
You're afraid of the lisp?
I'm not afraid of it. I think it's just there.
Yeah.
It's like,
How'd you lose a tooth at however old you are?
it's a long, so I had a crown put on one of my back teeth, and it was loose and getting looser.
Okay.
And I thought it was just glued onto like the stub of the tooth when you get a root canal.
Okay.
And so I thought it was just going to pop off. I ended up yanking the entire molar out, like bending it, like this hurts so bad. I can't leave it in. So I just yanked it. And so I got to go get another one put in. But
Pulled your own tooth out. Nice job, buddy.
dude,
I'm so proud
I
of you.
went to the dentist.
Is the tooth fairy going to come?
The dentist took it. Like I went to, they're like, yeah, we'll just keep this.
You should have said to the dentist, like, I was kind of hoping to put this under my pillow.
Well, I didn't get it back. Yeah, I was driving home. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't they just give me my tooth back?
Not cool.
Yeah. So, they looked at me, both of them. They're like, did this hurt?
Right.
Yeah, I mean it did, but what was the alternative? Like,
Right.
Have you come in and have you do it? I just was gonna.
No, that's right.
Pop it
I'm
out.
a man. I can pull my own teeth out.
I didn't know. I thought it was just gonna pop the cap off. You know, I thought it was just glued and gonna pop out. No, it was the whole tooth.
Ouch.
No. Kevin Myers,
That's right.
welcome to the Forge Podcast.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. You were my first experience with Forge. I was on and off for a while, a year, 2 years. But
I remember, I feel like our first, for some reason, I remember this distinctly, going to soccer practice for both of our girls the night the Bears played the Rams and beat them like 17-6 or something like that. Do you remember that night? They killed Jared Goff was still on the Rams.
No,
I think it was 2018, maybe. Yeah. Anyway,
you're still in my phone as Coach Kevin.
Coach Kevin, there
Because
it
I
is.
didn't know you
Yeah,
at SBC hadn't been to Forge.
Yeah.
And you coached. How old were they? Like
I
kindergarten?
don't know, man. It's been a while since
Yeah.
that daughter was playing soccer. So yeah, it's been a bit.
I've never changed your name.
Yeah. Coach Kevin.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good.
I go back to when you were back then. You were kind of, I don't know what you would call yourself. You were new guy table leader, right? I don't know what the official title of that is, but
Yeah, there wasn't really an official
new guys
title,
come
but-
in and you take them and you just kind of build relationships. And then what I really admired, and now leading a table myself, I really admire. You were a factory in a sense. You were you could identify in guys a leadership quality. You're like, hey, they might have only been there a couple weeks. Hey, why don't you run this table tonight? Why don't you take a stab at this? And you were into like finding guys and building them up and encouraging them to come alongside this and be a table leader. I appreciated that. I appreciated you stuck to a script in a sense. It was your script. I mean, it was the same every week. Hey guys, we're not here to I'm not here to help you. You're not here to give me advice.
Yeah.
Let guys just freely speak. There's no condemnation, no judgment. So a lot of that stuff I've taken I've just always remembered it. It stuck with me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So how did you come to Forge? Walk me through a little
man.
bit of your history at Forge.
So, history of the Forge, I had this men's Bible study, and it actually started off with this desire to engage some guys that were a little bit different on the political spectrum, actually. And so we created this group called Seek to Understand. This is a long time ago, maybe almost 10 years ago. And the goal was...
At the church or just
No.
buddies?
Just, yeah, it kind of evolved out of a couples small group I was a part of. And we just had some guys with very different opinions. And so I thought, maybe if we came together and we started off saying, like, first, what does the Bible have to say about this particular issue?
Okay.
And then listen to each other second, which is a little tricky on who speaks first, right?
Right.
but the posture, right? The posture was, what does the Bible have to say about this? What do my brothers have to say? Like, what is their
give me
experience?
an example of a subject matter.
Well, I mean, yeah, the one that actually kind of got this started. You may remember this was a long time ago. There was this event that took place in I think it's Charlottesville, Virginia, right? And there was that whole thing where there was this rioting going on, and the Confederate statues were torn down, and there was like a bunch of sound bites on like, did Trump say this? Did Trump say
Right.
that about good guys on both sides, all this kind of stuff, right? And I had some friends who were reacting really negatively about it, about particularly what the president had said, and then some who were like, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. And I noticed in that that there was like just this huge perception gap, and I thought it was really interesting. And I was like, man, how am I living in the same society
Right.
as these like four guys, and we could not see more differently about what
Yeah.
like happened, which is kind of wild, right?
It's
and-
incredibly wild.
Yeah, and so it kind of caused me to go deeper, even like across my sort of network. Like I even reached out to like a professor of mine from college who was from North Carolina and kind of that part of the world, but is a history professor. So I was like, hey man, what's your take on this? I asked a friend of mine, just a wide range
Your
of different
take
guys.
on why four guys can't see eye to eye with
No,
the same information?
Your take on the event,
Okay.
like on the thing that
Okay.
took place, just to see like, all right,
so you're
maybe
just still
there's-
gathering more information on this event
Yeah.
that four guys can't see eye to eye on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And so, long story short, we ended up then just coming together and saying, well, there's probably a lot of political issues that we don't see eye to eye on. Let's take these and kind of go, down the list, and let's start off with what does the Bible have to say about this, and do a little study on it, and then, listen, like have that be our first attempt, is listening to other people. And then finally, what do you have to say about it? Share your opinion.
And so if I'm in this group, I can go anywhere in the Bible to find passages, ideas of what the Bible says in any book.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and so some of them are more clear than others.
Right.
Talking about sanctity of life, both on the front end, on the back end,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. There's a lot there. Gun violence and
Is
that
that,
kind of stuff.
Is that what the topic was from Charlottesville? Gun violence?
No, the Charlotte's one was more racial and like historical.
Okay.
So like whether or not these Confederate statues were like legitimately historical monuments, or had been placed at a different time, sort of, hearkening back to, slavery era leaders. So yeah, that
So
one.
what was the assignment, or what did you
Well,
guys send away with? Like,
Yeah, so that particular event caused me to be interested in this question.
Okay.
That one though
wasn't necessarily
that one we didn't actually touch that one
Okay.
in the group. Not not intentionally or unintentionally. That just was the impetus for
Right.
like this idea.
I'm following now.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, it was cool. It ended up like after, I don't know how long we met, 6 months or a year, ended up getting kind of like, we just were struggling to see eye to eye, like, the idea of like coming together and,
All four believers.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Various, experience in the church and kind of maturity and stuff. But yeah. And I think we had like maybe 6 or 7 sometimes, like we'd have some other guys come, but ultimately we kind of found that we struggled to agree as much as was like, we kind of found that eventually it got a little bit more divisive than we wanted it to be. Shocker, right? And so we ended up being like, you know what, guys, let's do a little bit of Bible study for a bit and kind of
Yeah.
shelf the politics for a
Right,
minute.
right.
It was great. It was really beneficial. I think it was good for
Fun
all of us.
exercise, man.
But like
Neat.
it was, to actually reach some solutions between the group was tough.
Did you guys? Was there one topic that you guys like all came together on and were like, yes, John says this, and then
There were quite a few where we
Okay.
had some agreement. And I think what was helpful is, and this is something that I've learned just around conflict in general, is, one of the biggest problems that we have with conflict, interpersonal conflict, whatever, marital conflict, is we assume the worst about the person, right? I assume my wife was thinking this when she said that, right?
go back to
Yeah.
how we
And-
started this conversation.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I thought you were going to go on a negative.
Right.
And I'm
right.
like, why? I mean, why
Yeah.
why did I immediately go there? I don't know.
Yeah, and well, just but you have to clarify things, right? Like that's the point. You have to clarify what are we talking about and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, with regard to conflicts, what was helpful in that exercise was first we agreed to kind of go first with what the Bible had to say, and secondly to try to have this posture of listening to others.
Right.
In other words, trying to hear what they had to say and why they believed something different, right? Which was really helpful because then you get to hear, it's not because a lot of times, especially politically, you think the worst about your opponent. Well, they just hate babies, or they, like whatever, stupid stuff.
Sure.
That's not helpful, right? And it prevents us from having actual conversations because I'm assuming some things about you that were never true in the first place. And it's the same with marital conflicts, right? Like when I say to my wife, hey, at the right time, this thing that you said kind of bothered me, and here's kind of what I was feeling and thinking. Oh, well, I didn't realize that you thought that.
Right.
Oh, well, man, it's a good thing we talked about this.
Right.
Because otherwise I'd have been sitting on this for 2 weeks or
Yeah.
whatever,
It also shows you how either good at listening or really bad at listening you are, right?
For sure.
Listening requires an amazing amount of intention and humility.
Yeah.
And I imagine going into some of these conversations, everybody's fired up. They've got their opinion, and they're just waiting for you to stop talking so that I can share why I'm right or why my opinion matters.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you kind of have to train yourselves to that listening posture,
Yes.
right? Which was hard, I think it was good for all of us, but it was tough, and it was just something that was tough to do indefinitely,
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, so we had that group, we kind of switched it over to a Bible study, and then Bill, who was the men's pastor at the time, was like, hey, why don't you guys meet over here at the Forge? At the time it was called like men's ministry or men's Tuesday night or something. And so we moved it. So we kind of took those guys over to Tuesdays and been here ever since.
What was Forge like men's Tuesday night when you first came over?
Yeah, it was a little disjointed. I mean, so Bill had just kind of taken the reins, and we'd been through a little bit of a tumultuous period with different leadership and stuff in the, I'd say, few years prior to Bill taking over. I think I came over maybe the second year that Bill was doing it, if I recall correctly. And so yeah, it was a little. It also wasn't as unified as it is now. I kind of ended up having sort of my thing on the side where I would do like a little devotional after the speaker came, and another guy had kind of a marriage thing going on, and then there were various studies where guys were studying, apologetics or some book that they liked or whatever, but it wasn't really unified around, certain themes, which right now.
But it seemed, at least, because that's when I came in, it seemed to at least meet a need. Like you said, if it's grouped up in marriage, like, man, this is where I'm struggling. I'm going to go here on Tuesday night with guys. And then your group, like it was, what would you say the kind of the focus of your group was? Just young guys trying to.
We were pretty wide variety of ages, actually. I wouldn't say it was young guys. I would say it was just guys who are looking for deeper relationship with God and deeper relationship with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think you said there was an older group. I mean, it seemed to have fit the need at the time, right?
Yeah.
And then as there was more and more that people that came along, and how did it go from that? Not I don't know if it was disjointed, but how it was kind of a little more free flowing to what it is now. I mean, you're part of the vision team. You teach. How did it walk me through that process?
Yeah, I would say it was just a slow and really intentional evolution.
Okay.
And so we realized, hey, we're on a little bit of a different page across, different groups and stuff. And so how can we be a little bit more unified? How can we kind of come together around the teaching time? And then, the other problem is, it's pretty hard to be replicatable, if that's a word, replicable.
It is here.
Yeah. All right. It's hard to replicate. We'll go with that. I'm sure we can say that. Yeah. It's hard to replicate a unique thing that where every group is doing the same or different things. Mm-hmm. How do we kind of grow? Not that was our main goal, but like if men's ministry is going to be impactful, then it should impact more and more men, right, over time.
Right. And
so how can we be a little more aligned so that it's a little easier for guys to kind of lead a group and all that kind of stuff? Not plug and play, so to speak, but how can it be a little bit more consistent? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a slow evolution. I could give you all the details, but probably bore you.
No, that's okay. I love it. I love how it is now.
Yeah, me too.
There's diversity. If a table doesn't, if it's not I've talked to enough guys that if the table, they'll sit at it for a year. It's like, this isn't for me. I'm going to go try another table.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and I enjoy the time afterwards with guys and going out, and you can hunt somebody down and go have coffee and build that relationship even more.
Yeah, and I think what's awesome, and this comes from the top. It comes from Bill first, and then Jason. Is just there's a selflessness about the leadership and about who's like influencing guys that makes for a really great environment, And so if you don't, and that trickles down, and what I mean by that is if my group isn't a good fit for you, I don't take that personally.
Right.
And I can say that like pretty generally is true for all the leaders at the Forge is we just want guys to connect.
Right.
We want them to grow. We want them to experience freedom in their lives, experience an abundant life, which is what Jesus promised us, and we don't care who you are, whose group you're in there, because it's not about us, right? It's about what Jesus has done in our lives. And so we can, whichever table that works for you, like we're excited that you're here.
Yep. And it can happen at any table.
Yeah,
if
I think so.
You do your part.
Yeah, that's right.
Come and be vulnerable and be willing to press into other guys, because you're not just there for yourself. You're there for somebody else as well. You're there to be a support, be a community for the other guys there. Like, what did I just had something. Oh, on it. Robert and I were talking. And just this point came. This was a month or two months ago. The thing that going along your idea of what was the word you used?
Replicating,
but I mean, there's no ego.
Yeah.
That's true. If the walls of the church burned down, the podcast disappeared, the cool app with the QR code was gone, there was no microphone, no big screen, no nothing, Forge would still exist.
Yeah,
because it's you and me. And whoever else wants to get together and talk about life and Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's so powerful about the Forge is it doesn't need any of that. They're nice things. It's fun to have. And technology is incredible. But the core of Forge is you and me going toe-to-toe and heart-to-heart and just, hey, where are you at, man? Like, how can I help? How can I pray for you? And walking with guys. I think that's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So... let's fit this into what we were talking beforehand. We'll fit this into like a 10-minute segment.
Okay.
About what can guys... I want to create something that might be a shareable link for a guy that might be coming to Forge. What can they expect coming to Forge? Or they just had their first night. They're like, wow, this wasn't as scary as I thought. Like, I didn't open up, but I can see maybe in 6 weeks, maybe opening up. What would you tell that guy walking out of the parking lot after their first night? Like, hey man, here's what I have seen walking and talking and leading tables for however many years that leads to a successful relationship with Jesus, but a community of men walking together. What would you say to that guy?
Yeah, there's this funny thing that we do, I think, as men, and hopefully I'm correct in this generalization, but sometimes we've got something on our heart and we like refuse to share it. Mm-hmm. And I can remember this was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, but it was when I was like very well established in the Forge, right? And I had something going on. I don't remember what it was, but something that was like really weighing me down. And for some reason, I had this really like stubborn thought about it, which was, I'm not going to tell anybody unless they ask me twice. Isn't that so stupid?
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally. I don't know why. I don't remember what the thing was, but it was like I wasn't going to offer it. No,
I've had that. I've had a moment like that.
And if someone,
many moments,
and if someone asks, hey, is anybody, anybody
really
anybody got anything on your heart? That's what it was going to be. Is anybody have anything on your heart tonight? I wasn't going to share it unless they said, Kevin, what's going on? You know? And so for me, it's so stubborn. And like, I even had the idea ahead of time, right? So I'm like walking in or driving over, I don't remember.
Premeditated.
And I knew it, dude.
Yeah.
Unless someone specifically calls me out and says, "Hey, what's
Sure.
the thing weighing you down?" And so that's actually contributed to some of the ways I lead a table, because I know if I was doing that,
Right.
probably some other guys are too. And so I don't like to ask a general question, "Hey, anybody got anything they want to share?" You know, and sometimes that happens, but usually I'm very intentional, asking for each guy, looking him in the eye, "Hey, anything you brought?" Not as a point of pressure, but just like, "Hey, dude, there's probably a reason you're here." You know? And it's probably because you don't have a great community, or because you're looking for a friend, or because there's something really heavy on your heart that you just know you have to share with somebody. And so can I pull that out of you
That's so good.
just
dude.
in case you're as stubborn as I was that one night?
That's so good.
You know?
You just saying that, I'm going around the table. This happens every single week.
Yeah.
And that nobody talks on their own. Nobody volunteers until you're like, "Hey, so and so, what did you think about X, Y, and Z?" And they've got 4 minutes,
Totally.
like ready to
They
go.
have a lot
Like,
to say.
Whoa.
Yeah.
for going from not wanting to share to like, "Man, here's your heart,"
Yeah.
over and over and over. It's like,
Right. And I don't know what it is, man. Like, I don't know if it's we have to be seen, you know, like we
think
have
that's
to,
part
I
of
think
it.
that's a big piece.
we want to feel a part. We want somebody that's more established to pull us in.
Yeah.
And to say, "Hey, you do belong here."
Yeah.
And I want to know what you're thinking. I think there's something about that. I know that's true with me.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, I'm kind of thankful for that experience because, like
Yeah.
I said, it was a few years in.
Yeah.
So like I knew better, right? I knew
I
better.
love that.
Like
Twice.
Yeah, like they had to ask specifically, "Kevin, with this wording." No,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really,
yeah, right.
not with a specific wording. But yeah. So anyway, to answer your question, you know, a guy who comes, I think it's hard to say. I don't like to give a pitch that is like a general pitch to every guy, you know, which I know you're sort of asking a little bit for.
A little bit I am, yeah.
But, you know, it's I want to hear guys' experience, to hear kind of what, because some guys, they come here and they immediately connect. I mean, I've had a couple guys where, man, they came with some heavy stuff that they were not going to share. And fortunately, I had that experience a few years ago, and I knew well enough that I needed to ask this guy, and I look him in the eye and be like, "Hey, man, what happened, you know, with you?" And this happened 2 years ago. We had a guy who showed up at our table for the first time, and he and his wife had just experienced like 18-week miscarriage, and he was not planning to share that with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and he kind of was determined, like I had been, you know, a few years ago. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about that, you know. And what happened? He shared it because I asked him specifically. Now, you know, he didn't have to share that,
Yeah.
right? But I asked him just, "Hey, man, is there anything on your heart?" I looked him in the eye, and he knew that I was serious. And he shared that, and like that has changed his life.
Yeah, right.
Not because of something I did, except that I asked a question.
Right.
But, you know, he shared that with the guys, and there was a bond that was created on that day. And I don't think if he's not been out of town, he hasn't missed a Tuesday for 2 years.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, but that's not always the case for everybody, right? So it may be that a guy comes to a table, just does not feel like he connected. And so, like we were talking about earlier, what's awesome is we've got a ton of different tables, ton of different group dynamics, and it's worth it to keep trying because of the relationships you will find at some table. There's not a guy who comes who can't find a fit. And maybe it's that he can't find a fit in that season because he's just not willing to have those kind of relationships. That has happened from time to time. But if you're there and you're willing to engage with the guys, you're gonna find somebody. You're gonna find some guys that are gonna be walking through life with you.
I think step one is showing up. That for me, that's the hardest part. It always has been in life. Feeling awkward, feeling like, oh, everybody's staring at me. How am I going to break into a room of guys that are probably all well established and great best friends, right? It's my thoughts. Like, not true, but that's what I thought. And I know other guys think that. I couldn't have gone to one table one week and gotten over my fear and then gone to another brand new table. That would have been tough for me. I would have just, I think, okay, I'm going back to that same table because at least I did the hard part already.
Yeah.
But I think it's sticking it out. You don't have to share weeks 1, weeks 2, weeks 3, weeks 4. We just ask you to show up for you, for your heart. Get accustomed to what it's like. And I promise, at least once during each one of the weeks that you come, somebody's going to say, "Hey man, how you doing?" You still don't have to answer, but they mean it.
Right.
And one of those times it's going to break through, like your question, because it's a well-intentioned room. Yep. We're not there for anything other than well-intentioned transformation of Jesus. We're not there to be fake. No one wants fake, right? That's why it's growing. It's transparent, it's open, it's vulnerable, and it's real. And that's what we ultimately want. We just have to get to that place of accepting, like, okay, I'm going to go there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is absolutely the first step. And and I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to keep hopping tables, but at least you're in the room, right? Which is step
Sure.
one. And you will eventually, hopefully, find, a group of guys that connect well with you. But I think sticking it out is absolutely the thing.
And vulnerability. You got just wrap your head around that, or at least make a point to wrap your head around what it means to be vulnerable. You still don't have to do it, but vulnerability will bring a group of 10 guys that are so different, ethnically, height-wise, success-wise, background, and it bonds us instantly. Like, it's incredible that. So if you want that, you gotta find a way to let a little bit of it out, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is no one's walking to a group on a church to get into superficial conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, right? Like, there's plenty of those opportunities at the grocery store, at the bar, like wherever, where just like a conversation that's not super meaningful. When you step onto one at the church that at least you're hoping for one that is more meaningful, is a little bit deeper. Jason talks a bit about like sort of different levels of conversation, right? Sports talk and shop talk and, soul talk being kind of down below. And so, I think for a lot of people, it's uncomfortable maybe for the first time to talk about, deeper things, right? Like
it's so foreign.
Yeah. Who am I? Like what do I think about in my soul? Like, it's deep stuff that can be pretty intimidating. But I think also, if you've had those conversations and you know guys and you've chatted with them on that deeper level, it's almost like, man, I got to keep those other conversations short because they're a waste of time,
Thank you for listening to the Forge Podcast.